So in last class, we have seen inheritance. Okay. We just started inheritance and we have seen single inheritance. Single inheritance. Yeah. So inheritance is basically it is like let's say there is a child and there is a parent. So child inherit properties from parent, right? So similar to that, here also in um Python class, so there is a inheritance properties. So there will be a child class, there is a parent class, okay? And if we talk about single inheritance, so there will be one parent and one child, okay? So in parent class, let's say some features are there like parent class attributes, parent class functions. So child, if we call that parent class to child class, then child class will have its own properties. Apart from that, it also inherit the properties from the parent class, okay? And we have also seen some examples like, for example, if this is the parent class, okay, one of the class, so the parent class will always having the simple means the syntax that we use when we create a class, okay, that is a means uh, that is basically a parent class. Yeah. Now, if we have to create a child class, so for example, here the bank account is parent class. Okay, and if we see the difference between the parent class and child class, the only difference is means in terms of naming. Uh, na- so here the name is bank account, and here the name is saving account. And in parent class there is no bracket, right? When we call this class, name the class bank account, there is a no bracket, but in here there is a bracket, and inside that bracket what we have written, bank account. So this child, so this is when we write in this way, so this is basically saying, okay, this is a child class, okay, this is a child and this is a parent, okay. So this child class, so the only difference in syntax is like here, apart from name, there is a bracket, and inside that bracket we have to write the parent class name, okay. So now this child class will inherit all these uh, instance attributes, okay, and the function as well, okay. So here in bank account, what are the methods or functions? Deposit and withdraw. So if we create an object using this saving account, okay, or child class, then we can access uh, this function as well, okay. uh, if we see, let's, yeah, so if this is a parent class and this is a child class, so child class is saving account, parent class is a bank account. So let's, if we create an object using child class, okay, so in child class what are the input required? Account number, balance and interest rate, okay. Yeah, then huh. So here if we see the A2 dot account number, we have seen, okay. Now if we have to use, means in saving account the function are only add interest, right? But in bank account the function are deposit and withdraw. So let's say if I want to use the uh, parent class functions, okay, parent class function, then it will be a2 dot, let's say, deposit. Okay, and I can write some amount, 13,000. Okay, so see, we can use the parent class functions. Okay, so we have create object using saving account, but since this saving account have parent class features access, so because of that only we can access this thing. Okay, and here this super is a basically a special function which basically help to access these values, this argument. Okay, account number and balance. So for that only we have used a super. Okay, yeah. So now again, so in single inheritance we have one parent, one child. Okay, then there are some other type of inheritance. So there is a multi-level inheritance. So in multi-level inheritance, so there are different levels. Okay. So for example, if I give you simple example, so let's say grandfather is a one class. Okay. Then grandfather property was taken by father. Okay. Then father property is taken by child. So if you see, there are three labels of inheritance. So this we called it as a multi-level inheritance. Okay. Uh, I will give you the example as well, but first see what are other types of inheritance. So there is a multiple inheritance. Okay. So let's say there are two class, father and mother. Okay. And there is a child. So child basically taking the property of both father and mother. Okay. So this we called it as a uh, means if I create a class child, then it will have property of both father and mother. Okay. So and similarly, there can be not just two parent class. There can be a number of parent class. So when we have a multiple parents and single child, okay, then this we call it as a multiple inheritance. Okay, that is a third type. Uh, then there is a fourth one, that is a hierarchical inheritance. So in hierarchical inheritance, so there will be, let's say, one parent class. Okay, and from these parents, let's say it has three child. Okay, let's say C1, C2, C3. Okay, so C1 also have property of parent, C2 also have property of parent, and C3 also have a property of parent. So this we called it as a hierarchical inheritance. And the last one is a hybrid hybrid inheritance. So hybrid is nothing but what we have already seen, like single inheritance, multiple, multi-level, and hierarchical. So it will be combination of um, so hybrid will be, it will be combination of one means two or more different types of inheritance. Okay, so that we called it as a hybrid inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but taking the property of parent class means to the child class. So that is a basically a inheritance. Okay, so like means means if you see the real example, so as a human being, uh, we have some commonality in gene, right, from parent or grandfather. So based on that gene commonality, uh, we we basically get some features of our grandparent or parents, okay, to us, right? So that is basically inheriting, means we are taking some properties from our ancestors. Okay, yeah. So if we see it through example, yeah. So this is a basically a first one is a single level of inheritance. Okay, this we have already seen um, in the last class. Yeah. So again, if we see, so this is one class called person. Okay. So this is a parent, and this employee is basically an child class. Okay. And uh, here we have used a super method. So super is just to access this argument. Okay. So here we started with in employee. There is a constructor. Okay. So in this constructor, name is salary, and just means name and age was already there in parent class. So we used super method to basically use these things. Okay. And then self dot salary equal to salary, and inside employee there is a function. Okay. So we can create an object. So let's say X employee, and what are the input? Let's say Amit, uh, then 31, then okay, and so this object get created, and let's say S1 dot increase salary if I write. Okay, and so it will be mm, how much percentage. So in increase salary, what are the input? Percent. Let's say 10. Okay, so now if I check the salary, S1 dot salary, so it will be 99, 10% increase. Okay, so this is the first single inheritance. Okay, now there is a multi-level. Okay, as I said, in multi-level, so see, uh, here there is a class. The first level, if we see, huh, so first level one, if you see, this is a parent class payment. Okay, now from parent, there is a one child class online payment. Okay, now the third class is, or third level is credit card payment. But credit card payment, let's say, assume it is a payment as a grandfather, okay, and online payment as a father, and then credit card payment as a child. Okay, so there are three level, right? So first, this online payment inherit property from payment, then credit card payment inherit property from online payment. Okay, so there are three levels. So this we called it as a multi-level. So one parent, and then uh, the this is child class for this payment, and credit card payment is a child class for online payment. Okay, yeah. So there are three level of class. So first level, level 2 inherit property from payment, and level 3 inherit property from online payment. Okay, so when we call, let's see, means see by creating some object. So let's say A1 equal to, if I write credit card payment, okay, and the input required is amount, uh, let's say 25,000, and then gateway fees, let's say 200, and interest rate is 10%, or let's say 20%. Okay, now so this is the third level. Means credit card payment was third level, and we have created one object. Now let's see whether we can access uh, the other two level things or not, or like attributes or not. Okay, so in A1 dot amount, okay, 30240. Okay, uh, if we write some function, then we can, but here we haven't tried. So this, just for summary, this credit card payment will have the property from online payment as well as payment. Okay, so because the information passing is like, the payment has, online payment has the information of payment. Now credit card payment will have information of online payment as well as payment both. Okay, yeah, so this is how the multi-level inheritance works. Let's see also gateway fee. Yeah, so this is a gateway fee that we can access, and interest rate we already seen. Yeah, and this is basically a hierarchical. If you see hierarchical inheritance. Yeah, so this one. So in hierarchical we have seen. So the example will be a parent having multiple child. Okay, so that is basically hierarchical inheritance. So let's say this account. Uh, so this class account. So this assume it as a parent. Okay, because we are not calling any other. Uh, Inside that there is a no bracket. So this is parent. Okay, now from this parent we have created. Uh, Now from this parent we have created two more child. Okay, and both inheriting property from this parent. Okay, so this parent, let's say, have two child. One is a saving account and other is a current account. Okay, so in saving account we are inheriting the property of parent. Okay, this here if you see we are calling this account, right? In current account also we are inheriting the properties of parent class like account. Okay, so this is a parent and it has two child, saving account and current account. So this we called it as a hierarchical inheritance. Okay, so rest of the things are same, means calling the function and attributes. Okay, uh, now the next is a multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. So in multiple inheritance, uh, So a child can have multiple parents. Okay, a child can have multiple parents. Okay, so if we see, so let's say this is class means engine. Okay, and class vehicle. So here also, let's say these are two parents. Engine and vehicle are two parent, and car is a child class which calling both this parent like engine and vehicle. Okay, so this is basically example of multiple inheritance. Okay, so in multiple inheritance, let's say if we have to mm, so in multiple inheritance, if we have to call this if you have to create a multiple inheritance, then there will be a child class, let's say car, and inside that we have to name the parent class name. Okay, so engine and vehicle is the parent class name. So here we have it is started with constructor. Then if you see, instead of super we have used engine and vehicle. Okay, uh, so this is means in case of multiple inheritance we generally use this sort of syntax. Okay, uh, because there are multiple parents. Okay, so for example, if we have to access its argument like self dot horsepower, okay, its argument and vehicle argument, so simply instead of super we can write the class name. So here the class name is engine dot underscore underscore init underscore then self dot horsepower, and similarly for here. So that is the only difference. In case of multiple inheritance, if we have to access the value of the parent class argument, then this way we can access. Okay, yeah. So this is one more example. Okay, so here we have engine, and inside that two function are also there. In vehicle also there are two functions. Okay, and car is here. Car is basically a child class. Okay, and if we have to basically these are the input for car or child class. So if you see here, horsepower and wheels and fuel all is already a input for engine and vehicle. So this we can pass it through engine dot underscore underscore init, and similarly for vehicle also, and only model value was not here, so we call it using initialize it using cell dot model. Okay, now let's say if I have to use a method, let's say drive or so let's say if I have to use this drive function inside a child class. Okay, so simply what we can write, the class name then function name. Okay, so here this drive is inside a which class name, vehicle. So vehicle dot drive. Okay, then cell, then the input that is required, km. Okay, so this is how we can access this function inside a child class. Okay, so that these are the two things that we should means we can make note of that. So one is like in multiple inheritance, if we have to call the attributes of parent, then you can uh, call it through the class name then underscore underscore init underscore underscore then self dot that input argument. And if you have to call the function name or function inside a child class, then you can use the class name dot the function name. Okay, yeah, so these two things you should remember. And this is just a one example. Now let's see hybrid. Okay, so this is basically an example of hybrid inheritance. Yeah. So if you see here, so there is a parent class. Okay, and this is first child class. Okay, and this is also a child class. Okay, so if we just see these three, okay, func class, so it is basically a which type of inheritance? Can anyone? So person. Okay, so it has basically one parent and two child till this point. Okay, so single parent, multiple childs. What type of inheritance?
Multiple inheritance.
Hierarchical.
Hierarchical, correct.
Yes.
Now, if we add this as well, that research assistant, where it is student teacher. So this is means, let's say if I take this uh, person class and the last class. Okay, so there are total four class, right? So if I combine only first and fourth, so what type of it is? What type of inheritance? So it is having one parent and multiple, sorry, multiple parents and one child. Sorry, student and teacher both are there, right? So it is basically a combination of student teacher class, and so it having multiple parents and single child. Then what type of
Multiple,
class will be?
multiple inheritance.
Sorry,
Multiple
Multiple
inheritance.
multiple inheritance. Okay, yeah. So here it is a combination of hierarchical plus multiple inheritance. Okay, so this type of thing we called it as a hybrid inheritance. Okay, yeah. So that is about inheritance. So in interview they may ask, means how many types of inheritance, means in my experience I haven't uh, faced such question or anything, means related to class or object in interview, but in some cases they may ask. So yeah, so this is about inheritance in uh, basically oops. Okay, next is polymorphism. So any doubt till this point, or there is a lot of doubt? But do not worry about this class thing. Okay, uh, so they will not, means based on my experience, they will not ask much question on this class, and uh, if they will ask also, they will ask very basics question, not very hard question related to Python class. Okay, because that is mainly when you have to create any, let's say, uh, very complex thing. uh, so there they mainly use this sort of thing. Mainly this is used by web developer or who is developing something more complex. So there they ask mainly on these things. Okay, and also these are not very complicated, but the variation are quite large, means variation in the sense, so like we have seen super method, then uh, when there is a multiple inheritance, so in that we have to, if we have to use the argument of the parent, then you need to uh, call that in a different way. So these are some variations, so that only you have to make note of that. Apart from that, the things are not that complicated, but means in class, unless you create your own class, I mean, unless you do hands-on, it will look like complicated. Okay, yeah. So that's the thing. Uh, the next thing is like mm, one more property of class, that is polymorphism. Polymorphism. So if we break it down, so poly means many and form means, sorry, morph means multiple forms. Okay, so there are different types of polymorphism in Python. So mainly there are three. So one is method overloading. Second is a method overriding, and third is a operator overloading. Okay, yeah. So these are basically three different types of means polymorphism. So if you see it through some example, okay. Uh, okay. So if we take some Python example, like for example here, hello. Okay. So if I have to add a number, means let's say if I simply 10 plus 5, so it is basically adding these two things, right? But in case of a string, it behave differently, right? Means when I add um, hello there, okay, so it behave, this plus operator behave differently. Okay, similarly, if I, let's say if I add two list, 1 comma 2 comma 3 4, or plus let's say 5 comma 6 comma 7. Okay, yeah. So here it is appending the list. So the same plus sign can have different functionalities, right? One is adding the two number, other is, let's say if we write string, okay, the same plus method is appending this list, means sorry, appending this strings, means simply if I write hello and there, it is joining only, right? Joining the string. Similarly, if we write this if we again we use plus sign, and if we add these two things, so it is not adding like 1 plus 5 equal to 6, it is just appending the list, means joining these two lists. Okay, so the same plus sign has different forms. So this is one example of basically polymorphism. Okay, similarly, the same thing, like if we create a function add a comma b, return a plus b. Okay, so similarly, the same function, inside that we can input a number, we can input a string, we can input some list also. Okay, and in all three cases the output will be different. Okay, in one cases the output will be a single digit, one other cases the output will be a uh, string concatenation, means joining the, sorry, string. Similarly, in third case it is appending the list. Okay, so it behave differently. Also, if we see this example, for example, in class method, so let's say there are three classes here, right? Sorry, two classes, so dog and cat. Okay, so in dog also the function name is sound, in cat also the function name is sound, right? Yeah. So okay. Now, so let's say if I create an object, okay, animal equal to inside a list. Okay, we have created two objects, dog and cat. Okay, uh, or maybe let's say a1 mm, a1 equal to dog. Okay, and b1 equal to, let's say, cat. And so they are not taking any input. Okay, and let's say if I store inside a list. Okay, a1 b1. Yeah. Now uh, if I call a1 or a1 dot, or maybe let's say delete this one, this is not required. Simply if I write a1 dot sound, okay, so it's a oof. Okay, now if I call the same thing using b1, means b1 is basically for cat, but the function name is same. Okay, so this is means the same function, but there are two different class. Okay, so in both the class the function is same. Okay, but in dog it is returning oof, in cat it is returning meow. Okay, so the same function has different output. Okay, so uh, it is called as a polymorphism. Okay, it has many forms. Okay, so if we see the first method, overriding. If we see the so we have seen three types of polymorphism, we know. So the first is a method, overriding. So override means it is similar to overwrite. Okay, overriding means overwrite. Okay, so in override, so let's say if I have a class called vehicle, one class called car, and one class called bike. So in all these three, so there are a speed, means the same function, right? Speed. Only the all this return different things. So one is returning vehicle can go, one other is returning 120 kilometer and 80 kilometer bike run it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, for that time, yeah. So again, if we see v dot speed, and if we see c dot speed, the same thing that we have seen earlier. Okay, and here let's say the b dot speed. Okay, so this is called method overriding. Okay, then there is a method overloading. Overloading. So method overloading, it is like, let's say uh, in input you want different number of argument. Okay, or different number of input. Okay, so if we see through example, okay, uh, yeah. So in method overloading, same method name but different number of parameter or types of parameters. Okay, so for example, if I create a class example, and inside that there is a two function, right? Okay, so inside that there are two functions, right? Let's say if I create an object a1 equal to uh, example. Okay, first I create an object, then let's say a1 dot show. Okay, and if I write 10, okay, so will it run? So there are two functions, right? So and so both are same. Only the difference is like in first so the input is A. In second one the input are A and B. So let's say if I write A1 dot so which one it will run? Will it run or not? Any guesses?
Sir, it may run the latest one with the A and B both.
I want to know whether this will run or not.
This will run, sir.
Let's see. So this will not run. Okay. So what it's showing? Example dot show missing one required positional argument. Okay. So what is happening? So when you call this or when you create an object, okay. So the latest function. Okay. So if you see the execution, so first it will call this one, then it will call this one. So the latest one will be this one. So it will override the previous function. It will override override the previous function. So this will work means if I write 10.20, so this will work. Okay, but uh, as I said, this will override the previous thing or previous functions. Okay, so this is method overloading. So let's say if I have to run both one, what can I do? Means what changes should I make? Let's say my requirement is like a1 dot so 10. Let's say I want to run this as well. Okay, right now it is showing error, right? But what changes should I made here so that I can write the both, means this also work and this also work? Anyone? What if I write not here? Let's say b equal to some value, default value. If I run it, okay. So now if I create an object, okay. So first let's say 10.29. So it is returning 10.29. What if I simply write means this thing or maybe 10 also, not a problem. See, now it's running, right? So if we have to uh, let's say if you want to handle both the cases, simply you can make it optional. Okay, so when we write b equal to 10, so that means it's optional. If user input b value, okay, then it will print that. Otherwise, if user put only single value, so it will by default it will take b equal to 10. Okay, yeah. So if you see here, uh, so there is a class called calculator. Okay, so we have defined three variable means a, b, c, and in all this thing we have already initialized a equal to 0, b equal to 0, c equal to 0. Now, if I have to call this thing, okay, means if I create an object c1 equal to calculator, so I have option whether to input one value, okay, or 2 value or 3 value, or maybe nothing, because all are optional. Okay, so that is the first. Let's say C2 equal to, again, if I write only one value, if I enter only one value, 10. Oh, calculator not taking any value. So C1 dot add can take, means that is also, it can be empty, and then we can add, we can have option to add one value, or we can input two argument, or similarly 3 argument also I can give. Okay, so yeah, this we have already seen, method overriding. Okay, and let's see one more example of method overriding. Yeah. So there is a parent class, okay, saving account, then saving account, current account, okay, and in all these three, so there are a interest rate. The common function is interest rate. Okay, so based on that, uh, let's say if I call this, means if I create an object using this current account, so it will use this interest rate. Similarly, if I use create an object saving account, so this will use this interest rate. Okay, in case of earlier we have seen there are a separation, but here there is a child class, parent class, but in that also, uh, let's say if I just use these two things. Okay, now see, so in first account is a parent class, and this is a saving account is a child class. Okay, so let's say if I create an object using child class, saving account, and uh, so let's sign name in C1, and I also create an object using parent class. Okay, so if I call this P1 dot interest rate, okay, and see here the interest rate is 5. Okay, but if I write the C1 dot interest rate, okay, so it should print 6. Okay, so this is overriding the uh, so when we have a let's say parent class, child class, and if we create an object using child class, so it will always use child class, means it will give first preference to child class function if both function are same. So basically it will override the previous thing. Okay, yeah, so that is about a method overriding. Then there is a operator overloading. Operator overloading. Yeah. So that is important. Uh, Operator overloading. So that is also one form of polymorphism. Okay. So there is a one function called dunder function. Dunder function or method we can call. Okay, so wide under name. So double underscore. Okay, it is start with double underscore, and let's say if I simply write. So this is one method. Okay, so anywhere if you see like init. Okay, we have seen init, right? Super underscore underscore init underscore underscore. So anywhere if you see uh, anything that is started with double underscore, then the name, then again double underscore. So these are basically a dunder function. Okay, double underscore dunder. So du means double and under means underscore. Okay, yeah. So in Python there are many dunder function, uh, and we are talking about basically operator overloading. So in Python the operator are basically plus, minus, multiplication, okay, uh, floor, division, and power. Okay, so there are different types of operator we have already seen, right? So in operator overloading, so we are basically adding some features related to this plus minus to a class. Okay, means the same functionality. Let's say what it means. So for example, you you have 145, right? And you have other, let's say a equal to this one and b equal to 678. Okay, right now let's say if you do a plus b, okay, so the output will be 145,678. But you want to modify it. Let's say you want output should be like 1 plus 6, it should be 7. Means if I write, so I want like 7 plus 4, 11, and 8 plus 5, 30. Okay. So I want this sort of output. Okay. But right now, the functionality of this plus is basically it is appending this. So to create such sort of class, okay, where you are changing this plus functionality to some other form, means the same plus you want to behave it as a like 1 plus 6 7, 4 plus 7 11. So you want to add the list, you do not want to append the list. Okay, so the same func plus you want to use it in different form. So that is also so this, because of that only we are calling it as a, it come under polymorphism. And operator overloading means using basically you want to change the operator functionality. Okay, so that we called it as a operator overloading. So in Python if you see, so for example plus, so this is one, so this is a dunder function, this is basically for plus. Similarly minus, multiplication, division, true division, floor division, mod, power, less than, greater than, equal to. Okay, so let's see with some example. Okay, then it will be much clearer. So let's say if I create an, let's say if I create an class book, okay, and page will be input. Okay, and what I have added, def underscore underscore add underscore underscore. Okay, so if you have to use a dunder function, means this special method, uh, treat it like, let's say in book you want to add some addition features. Okay, uh, then it will be much easy to understand. So you are just adding one feature related to add. Okay. So if I run this, okay, and um, when you have to add feature add to this class, so simply you have to use the method related to plus. So here method related to plus is underscore underscore add underscore underscore. So here we have added, and if you have to add something, you have to, let's say you need one more value, right, to add that thing. You cannot simply add single value. Okay, so because of that only we have written here other. Okay, so it will return self dot pages. So first input is this one, and it required some other input as well, so other dot pages. Okay, now let's say if I create an object a1 equal to book. Okay, and uh, let's say if I write 12. Okay, and similarly b1 equal to uh, book, and if I add simply 15. Okay, now since I have added add feature, I can write a1 plus b1. It will add up these two things. Earlier, uh, let's say for example, if I write, let's say some other class book1, okay, and I do not add this one. Okay, I simply write add. Let's say if I do not use add and some add and I write cell dot pages plus other. Okay, and um, let's say again if I create object and here let's see what happened a1 plus b1. See here it directly say unsupported operand type for book 1 and book 1. Okay, so we cannot add simply through this thing. Okay, so if we use add feature, means add function special method, so these are basically special methods. Okay, so if you have to add this to one, you have to use this add functionality. Okay, now let's say if I have to basically create some what we have seen 147. Okay, and let's say c1 equal to 248, and if we add this one b1 plus c1, so it is coming around 147248, right? Now let's say I want my output should look like, if I do that b1 plus c1, it should look like 3 plus 4 plus 4 8 and 7 8 15. Okay, now for that I have defined, let's say if I create one class, let's say class list add. Mm, okay, and then left self comma L1, let's say, So L1 basically representing list 1. Okay, and since I have to add, so I can use add functionality. Okay, and self comma others. Okay, and uh, what I can write, mm, mm, I can use zip. I've already written it. So here if you see, so cell column data, or L1 we can say, and similarly we have used add other. Okay, then custom list, then for a comma b in zip. So zip is basically a, uh, if I can, okay, so let's say if you have a1 equal to 147 and b equal to 249. So if we use a zip a1, sorry, let's say this is a comma b, so it will return in form of tuples. Let's say 1 comma 2, then comma, and 4 comma 4, then comma 9 comma, sorry, 7 comma 9. Okay, so this is basically creating a pair. Okay, so it will create one pair, 1 and 2, then 4 and 4, and 7 and 9 in the form of tuples. Okay, so this will the output of zip. So here what we have done, so let's say we have self.data. So this is the first list and other dot data. Okay, so this is the second list. Okay, and we are zipping it. So it will create a list pair of tuples. Okay, and that is stored in a comma b, and we are adding simply return a plus b. Means this is basically a list comprehension. Okay, yeah. So and then we pass custom list. So custom list is basically a class name. Okay, and this is just for printing. Okay, so if you add str, then in your object it will have the property of print as well. Okay, so return str cell dot data. Okay, So if we see here, so let's say if I create a to list, okay, means I'm passing, I have created two object L1 and L2. Okay, now if I do L1 plus, or let's say L1 only, so L1 plus L2. Yeah. So if we do the print of L1 plus L2, it is returning 5 plus means 4 plus 1 5, 5 plus 2 7, and then 6 3 9. Okay. So and if we see the type of L1, okay, print. So it is a basically a custom list. Okay. Let's say in this one, if I do not write this custom list, okay, simply what I have written, this thing, okay, and I simply write again. If I write, so this time also it is returning 5 7 9, right? The only difference will be, means if I write uh, type of, let's say L1 plus L2. So it is basically a list. Okay. But let's say if I again write here custom list. Okay. Custom list. Again, let's say again create an object, and that is same. Let's say if I write type of C. Here now the type get changed. Okay. So this is just for, means let's say if you, this is this you have created your own, right? This is a different class, okay, not the list class. So here we want that type should be custom list. Okay, so this is how because of that only we have written here custom list. Okay, so when you written something, uh, let's say if you add something and if user want to see the type, then if you write here, so there will be no confusion. Okay, this is so user will basically know, or some other programmer will know, uh, this is a custom list you have created. Okay, not using the normal list, otherwise he will get confused why this is not appending. In normal list it is appending. Okay, so if you just write here custom list, then he will have some idea related to that thing. Okay, now similarly we can also, let's say if we have to subtract it. Okay. Mm, let's say custom list 1, I write 1, and here I can minus, and here I can write subtract. Okay, and mm, yeah, now print L1 minus L2. Okay, so this is this type, and again here. If you see here what I was doing, L1 plus L2, but when we do L1 plus L2, it's saying unsupported operand time plus, because we haven't added that feature. Okay, so if you want both, like in the same thing, if you want to add, subtract, means the user can subtract or can add as well. Okay, so simply you can add one more function method, add, and here you can write plus. Okay, now you have done print L1 minus L2. Similarly, uh, L1 plus L2 also you can do. So earlier it was throwing error, but now it should run. Yeah, see. So you can miss. Uh, so once user created then, so here if you see, so there are two inputs are required. One is data and one is other. So once we have two set of object, okay, then we can apply addition subtraction. Similarly, if you want to apply more things, okay, so let's say if you want to apply multiplication, division, so say in a similar way you can add more thing. Okay, so this is how you are creating a means you are modifying the same plus to these vectors or means this list, okay, in different form where you can add, subtract in your means you are basically defining custom functionality to that. When you create a list, if you want to add some custom functionality, then you can create a custom class, and using that you can create an object and then use those features like plus or minus or some other operator things. Okay, other different types of operator that you can try. So yeah, similarly you can use a greater than, means let's say if you have a uh, two numbers, okay, and you want to check which one is a greater, so you can add greater than functionality also, so it will return true or false. Okay, so here if you see, similarly uh, the vector addition you want, okay, so let's say if you have created a vector, means this is the class you have created vector where two inputs are there, x comma y, okay, and similarly you want to add this, so return vector, and this str is just for returning, just for printing. Okay, so let's say if I simply return, see, so here if you see, return f, what I have written, round bracket, right? So because of that, when you return print, so it will return 6 comma 8. But if you, let's say here, if I just change it to square bracket, okay, now this time it will return here in 6 comma 8 inside a square bracket. Okay, so this is the use of str. Similarly, let's say if you want to add length functionality, okay, so let's say for example you created an object, okay, so here we have added length functionality to this class. Okay, so let's say if I want to find length of c1, okay, it is returning uh, okay, sorry, this is a cl, not, yeah, yeah, so now it is returning 5. Okay, so if you want to add length functionality to your class, then you can write this length also you can use. Okay, so this is one more example. Similarly, this is example, one more thing I want to show. Yeah, so in Python everything is a object or class you can say. So let's say if I simply write a1 equal to 5, okay, and b1 equal to 6, let's say. Okay, and if I write type of A1 plus B1, okay, and if I write print, see, this is basically a class of integer. If we see earlier also, means in our case, uh, so here, uh, if I write simply print this type of, okay, so let's see it here. Hmm. So we have created a class called custom list. Here they have created a class called int. Okay, so in our case, inside means L1 means in custom list. Uh, let's see if I have to see. Okay, so inside that we have added add. Okay, and in some cases we have added subtraction as well, right? Let's see it where custom list. Hmm. So sub is also there, str is also there. Okay, and there are some inbuilt method that is there. Similarly, if we see the print of this, the class name is int. Okay, yeah. So inside that, in print, there are more functionality, right? Denominator, true division, subtraction. Okay, but if you see here, uh, like R mode, RML, but in the custom list, we haven't seen. Okay, means much of that in that. So the same way that we have made for custom list, right? So in Python also, they have created a int class. Okay, and inside that int class, they are using something similar to this. Okay, to add those functionality for int. Okay, so in Python, everything is an object. Okay, so every variable is an object. Means if you create any variable, let's say b equal to 3.5. Okay, and if you simply print type of b, so it is saying class float. So only thing is like you don't have to define which type of class it is. So earlier, let's say if you write a number, it will automatically identify it as a integer. But here, if you write 3.5, it will automatically identify it as a class. Okay, so everything is an object in Python. So this basically these operators. So you can create your custom class and you can add. So there are other method as well, means there are, these are some magic method or some function, but there are other like length, str, okay, underscore underscore. So that also you can add to your class. So if you add this thing, so then you can add functionality, sub, multiplication, all these operator thing you can add to your class. Once you create an object, you can apply the plus minus all these things what you have added in your class that you can use. So this is basically a operator overloading. Okay, so we have seen three types of method overloading, method overriding, and operator overloading. Okay, so that is about polymorphism. So now only encapsulation and abstractions, these are the two things that are remaining. So they are very means they are not big topic, they are small. uh, so once that will get completed, so the class or oops concept will be over in. So there are many other things, but don't try to go much deeper into class or objects. Okay, in Python there are many things, uh, or there are means you cannot learn everything, each and everything in Python. It is not practically possible, or even experienced people also don't have that much knowledge about all the things, because there are lacks of libraries. Okay, um, so and that is not practically possible, so only you should know the basics. Okay, yeah. So any doubt or any question till this point? It is already been 9, so one question if anyone having, I can take.
Sir,
Ha, Adit.
hello.
Ha, ha.
Yeah, I face one problem during the class. I mean, it may be my fault. I
Mhm,
try to whatever code you show us during the class, the
mhm.
examples and all.
Yeah.
I try to simultaneously practice those codes in my system also. But sometimes, due to as these concepts are first time for me, so that's why I lag behind. So is
Mhm.
it the correct way, or I should practice those things later? I should just concentrate on the class.
Yes, you should practice it later, definitely. Otherwise, means I have already printed that thing, right? Means just to save the
Yes,
time,
sir.
I have already a block of code. I am not writing. Sometimes I write, but most of the times I simply write a means already written a block of code and I'm executing it. If you are copying that thing, means at when class is running, so definitely you will miss something, right? Means because
Yes,
you cannot uh, type that much fast, and even if you
yes,
write
sir.
also, then at the same time two things doing this two things parallelly, it may be difficult.
Yes, sir.
Any other question, anyone?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so once I think maximum one or two class, then Python will be over. Then from next week we will start with GenAI. Okay, yeah, thank you everyone. So next class, tomorrow also we will have class. Okay, and tomorrow, and then um, day after tomorrow, and that Thursday. So this week, Tuesday and Thursday we will have class. After Saturday we will not have class. So we'll start again from Monday. So I want to give some time before Gen AI. So yeah, so that's it for today's class. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Bipin.
Huh.
Thank you, sir.